going to repeat that because I think I have my microphone turned off there for a second. So if you hear me again, I'm sorry. um, but we're going to get started in just a couple of seconds. Checking my sound on my phone to make sure I was talking this time. We're going to get started in just a couple of seconds, give everyone a chance to log on. While we're waiting, if you have any specific questions that you want to make sure that I touch base on, please feel free to put those in the chat window and we will make sure that we get to those. All right. I hear the church bells in the background, so that means that it is officially 4 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we go ahead and get started. Thank you, first of all, for being here with me tonight, and I'm happy to have you. I've got my chat pulled up on another window, so I'll be able to see any questions that come in on the live chat. So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So the first thing before we get too far into this, just to tell you a little bit about who I am, the voice behind your screen right now. My name is Stella Pollard, and I work for Franklin County Schools. I'm currently the instructional technology coordinator, so that means that I help students and teachers and administrators and anybody with any instructional technology needs that they may have, like tonight's Google Classroom. Some other things that I help with other than Google Classroom, if you ever have questions about Google Drive or really anything about how to do anything online, I'm your girl. Feel free to email me. There's my email address. I'm also the person behind the Instructional Technology Facebook, so you can reach out to me on there or however you want. Before this life, I was a middle school science teacher at one of the middle schools in Franklin County, and I have really enjoyed getting to know the kids at middle school. But this new role that I'm in allows me to touch bases with kids all the way to kindergarten through their high school careers, and it's such a rewarding experience. So, tonight's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about Title One. If you're not familiar with Title One, you'll figure out what that is in just a second. We'll talk about how to use a Chromebook offline because I know that sometimes the internet within our county is a little bit wonky and we have a hard time connecting our devices to internet. So we'll talk about that. Um, we'll do an introduction to the Google Classroom, what it is, what it means, how to see if your child's work has been turned in, how to see the grades and feedback with your child, and the Google Calendar of Google Classroom, and then how to view the search history of the Chromebook. There's also some things that teachers sent to me that they wanted me to touch bases on that are not Google Classroom related. So I'm going to throw those in at the end, and we'll have a Q&A session. So, what is Title I? Franklin County Schools receive federal funding for Title I services. We seek guidance from families on the best ways to support you and your child in feeling successful within our learning community. We have parent and involvement policy. And then something to think about throughout this session because at the end there's a survey. As we go along, please think about some ways that Franklin County Schools can better assist you and your family in better assisting your child and you. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is offline usage. If your child has a Chromebook, they can be used offline. And I have a video that will show you and walk you through that. And I'm going to share these slides with you all at the end so you can have a copy of these for your records if you would like them. But this will allow your child to be able to get onto their Chromebook and do Google Docs, see emails and stuff like that just offline. And this video will walk you through it. If you want me to show you right now, I can turn on my camera and show you with the Chromebook that I have over here to my left. So if you are interested in that, just put that in the chat window and I'll be happy to show you. So Google Classroom is the reason why we're here. And I know that sometimes whenever we have something like Google Classroom, it's completely different than how we learned as students. For me, it's been just a few years. I'm not going to tell you how long it's been because I can't believe it, but it's completely different. We didn't have this when we were children. So, within a Chromebook, if you have a shared device, you can click on this little avatar. Yours won't be a picture of me, it'll be an initial or whatever avatar the child has as theirs. So you can click it, and down here where it says other people, you can have other profiles connected to this device. That way, if you have two kids and those two kids both have Google Classrooms, sometimes we get that little notification that says you must request access to this document because we have like me as a student and then we have my daughter Audrey as a student. I might be mixing up those profiles. So if you want to add another person, you just click that little avatar there, go down to add, and you can add another profile. And then when you add that, it's going to ask you to sign in to your Google Chrome account so you can get started or sign in. And then once you press sign in, you just put in your email address and password, and that's what the child would use to log onto their Chromebooks or to get into Google Classroom. And then the next time that you click on that avatar, you're going to be able to see whatever you've just added down here, and you can click on it and it will change you to another account. Okay, so once we have all of that down, to get to Google Classroom, you can go to classroom.google.com. If you're on a Chromebook, down here at the bottom, we call this the dock, there'll be a Google Classroom icon that you could click on and it'll take you to Google Classroom as well. And this is what Google Classroom looks like. If the child is already enrolled into classes, you'll see all of the different classes right here. I'll call these cards. If your child needs to join a Google Classroom, they're going to get the code from their teacher and they'll click this little plus sign here and they'll type in that code. And once they press join, they'll be automatically enrolled in that class. On these cards, you can see in this white area that this one says due tomorrow. That's because I have something here that is due tomorrow. And if I had multiple things due within a certain time frame, they would all be listed right here. I'm going to click on the title of the class, and that's going to take me in to the Google Classroom. And I have 3 separate tabs, and I'm logged in as a student right now. So the first tab that it takes me to is called the stream. And the stream is kind of like a Facebook stream where you can scroll down and you can see everything that the teacher has added. If I click on classwork, it's a little bit more organized than the stream because I can see all the different topics that the teacher has if he or she has made topics for their class. And I can then go underneath the topics and see exactly everything it is the teacher has assigned to me. I can see when the work has been posted. I can also see the due dates if there's anything that's due. And if I look at the circles, beside of each task or material. I can see that if they're gray, that means that the child doesn't have to do anything to it, or he or she has completed that assignment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what each of these icons mean, because you'll see here I have like a little book with a ribbon. That icon represents a material. If I have the clipboard, that icon represents an assignment. If I have the question mark, that represents a question. So materials will automatically be grayed out because the child does not have to turn anything in. And then any assignments that are grayed means that the child has completed that task. So that's a pretty nice feature, because you can just glance and be able to see exactly what they've done and know that they've turned it in. Each Google Classroom has a different color set up based upon how the teacher set that class up. So mine are green and your child's might be orange or blue or some other color. And I just realized, because I was looking at my YouTube stream, that you all are seeing the wrong screen. So I'm going to go over what I just said one more time in a way that you can see it. So classroom.google.com. My apologies for that. And it'll look like this. And this one's going to be my teacher account, because I have a lot of classes on here. And the only thing that's different between the teachers and the student account here is that this icon, this tab with grades, is not on the student's account. So we have stream, which was what I said was like the Facebook stream. Then we have classwork. And on the student screen, the syllabus and the lab experiment video, those are grayed out because those are materials and the child doesn't have to turn anything in. And then I have this icon here that's homework and the student had already turned it in. So I'm going to find out how to share with you all my other tab, because I want you to be able to see it as a student. Give me just a second here. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and continue, and I'll figure out how to show you that screen in just a moment. So each of these over here, we call these topics, and the topics are kind of like folders the teacher can organize assignments in. So that's super handy. And this class is pretty small because I made it just for this purpose. But if you click on one of these topics, it's going to only show you everything that's within or underneath that topic header. So if I click on homework, it'll show me only the things that are listed in homework. And then I can click on any of these attachments and it would be editable for the student. Back out of here and go into a class that I have that I'm a student in. I'll go into this one. Okay, so this one I'm a student in, and I can go to the classwork page and I can see all of the different things that's been assigned to me. If I click on one of the assignments, I can then click on View Assignment, and it will show me what we call the student work page. So if the teacher has attached an assignment and made a copy for each student, over here underneath your work, that copy would show up, and you would just click on it. And then once you get finished and the child is ready to turn it in, they would mark as done. If the assignment is asking for the student to add or create a document or anything else, they just click right here, add or create. And they can add things directly from their Google Drive from a link, a file, docs, slides, sheets, or drawings. So if they create a new, they can just click one of these. If they've already created it, they just select one of these. I'm going to click on from Google Drive, and I'm going to add that. And now I can mark as done or turn in. And I can also add a private comment to my teacher if I want to do that. And then once I do it, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it in. It'll take me back to my classroom page, and I can go back to my classwork page, and now notice that my icon is gray instead of blue. All right. And if you have any questions as I'm going along, please feel free to drop them in that chat window. I'll see them, and I will make sure that I get you the answer that you need. Okay, so that's the classwork page. If I go to the people page, I don't want to do it in this one, but if I go to the people page as a student, then I'm going to be able to see who the teachers are in this classroom, and I will also be able to see who my fellow classmates are. As the teacher, which in this class and this account I am, I can go in and I can invite guardians. So, for instance, Audrey is my daughter. I could go in and put in her mother's email address and invite that parent to be able to get weekly updates from Google based upon what Audrey is doing within this class. Those weekly updates will provide for you missing assignments, grades the teacher is given to the student within Google Classroom. It's not linked to Infinite Campus, so it won't be tied to that. But missing work, grades from Google Classroom, and any upcoming assignments that he or she may have. All right. If you would like to play around in this classroom and be a student, you are more than welcome to. Here is the class code that you can have. So if you want to take a picture of that, a screenshot or whatever, and come back to it at a later time, or if you have multiple devices right now and you would like to just go ahead and enter in, feel free to. So you would just take this code right here and go to the classroom.google.com, or if you're on a smartphone, you can download the app and you just click this plus sign and join a class, and you would put the code right there and click join. Now, it won't let me join it because I'm the teacher in it, but once you have it, it will show up, and you can feel free to play around on that, and if you have any questions about it, let me know and I'll be happy to help. One of the other features inside of Google Classroom for everybody, including teachers and students, is if you go into the classwork page, there's a Google Calendar, and if you click on that, it's going to give you the option to see a calendar. Pull it over here for a second. And that calendar will show you the due dates and everything within that class. Okay. So my calendar looks a little crazy because I've got a lot of dates on there. But you can see that I have assignments for each class. Your child will not be that crazy, but yeah. So you'll see updates from each class on there, and they'll be color coded. You also have the class drive folder, and if you click on that, it's going to show you everything that the child has done within that class. So if they've made copies of anything or if they are editing anything, they're going to be housed right here in that spot. One of the other things in Google Classroom, if you click on, I call this the hamburger, some people call it the stack of pancakes or the three bars. If you click on these three bars, you're going to be able to go down and see a to-do list. Let me go to the ones I've enrolled. So there's a clipboard and there's to do. And if you click on that, you're going to be able to see a running list of everything that's missing or has no due date, due tomorrow, due in the future. And you can also click on done and you can see everything that you have done. If you want to see it just for one class, if you have a child that's in middle school or high school and you don't want to see all of their stuff for every class, you can click where it says all classes and pick just the class that you want. Okay. Those three bars also let you see every class. So if you have a child that has multiple classes, like we just talked about, then you can click on one of those other classes right here instead of having to go back to Google Classroom and restarting over. So that's just a little helpful hint there. And then down here at the main bottom of those, when you click on those three bars, if you go into your settings, that's where you can turn on email notifications. So if you want your child to get notifications from comments on posts or assignments, then they're going to be able to get all of those um, updates from each class if you turn that on. All right, so that is a very quick rundown of Google Classroom. Do you all have any questions or anything about that before we move on into some of the other things? I don't see any in the chat window. So I am keeping an eye on that chat window. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop that into the chat and I will get to it. I'm going to come back over to my Google Slides here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to scroll down and I have some recommendations from the teachers because I sent out an email asking them if there was anything that they could know that you all would probably be interested in. And some of them said some keyboard shortcuts. So if you have your child's Chromebook and you want to see their search history, you can hold the Control key and the J key down, and that will open up the search history. So Control and J, and it'll show you everything that's been searched up on that computer. If you hold down Control Shift T, I'm going to shut this tab here. Control Shift T reopens your most recently closed tab, and you can press that as many times as you want. And it will keep opening up those closed tabs. Some of the common ones that would make any child's life easy, I've used these for a long time, but it's not common knowledge for students who are just getting familiar with devices like this. So showing kids that Control C will allow you to copy text. So like highlight that, Control and C at the same time. And then if I wanted to paste that anywhere, I can use Control V and you'll see that it pasted it down there. I can use Control X to cut paste and then paste it again. And then Control Z is an undo keyboard shortcut that'll allow you to undo anything that you didn't mean to do. Some teachers said that when students go away to college, a lot of them feel overwhelmed by email. So I found a blog post article that I thought would be some helpful tips for kids with email. I'm going to share those links with you all individually in the chat window. But some common mistakes that people use whenever they're first getting used to email is that they don't have subject lines, or they don't put in, or they just use subject line instead of putting the text in the body, or they don't have an appropriate heading like Dear Mr. Smith, and then, yeah. So, proper email etiquette. Another thing is Infinite Campus. If I have this bit.ly link here, so like if you just type in your search browser bit.ly/ICSCS, all lowercase, it will take you to a one-page note sheet that I've created that will show you all of the functionalities of Infinite Campus for parents inside of the app. So this looks very similar for iPhone and Android. Let me zoom in a little bit. So that's what the app looks like in the App Store. You sign in. And if you've never signed in before, you click New User. You will need an activation key from your school. And if you don't have that, just reach out to your attendance clerk, and she or he will be able to get that for you. If you turn on notifications, it will allow you to get those assignment updates quickly. So you have a message center, and then in the menu, you have a ton of different things that you can use Infinite Campus for on your phone. There's also the website. So if you go to franklin.kyschools.us, you can get to Infinite Campus on Chromebooks or any device. Um, so I have some other links in there too, but this one's the EdTech Roundup newsletter, and since the NTI started, I've had a hard time trying to keep up with everything, so I have not been updating that like I should, but I have been updating the Facebook for instructional technology for Franklin County Schools, and that's really where you can see the most updates from me. And the last thing that I have to share with you is this bit.ly. I'm going to post this link in the chat. And this is a Google form. And if you've never used a Google form before, they're super easy to get into. So I'm going to open this up. Your child will use Google Forms within their educational career. And it's this one's a survey that can be used as assessments as well. So you'll see our parent and engagement policy here. It's 2 pages. If you would like to read that, you may. And then you'll have some questions. So you'll pick where your child goes to school. So you just click beside of whichever one, and just go through and answer those questions. And when you get finished, you press submit and you'll be finished. So we would be very grateful for any feedback that you have to offer us as far as helping you all with your child's learning. So anything that you all want to put in there, we would be more than happy to embrace that and make sure that we can help meet those needs. All right, so that was a lot of talking. You all had to hear me for 30 minutes. I don't see any questions in that chat window. I do want to make sure that I'm sharing this slide presentation with you, so you can make sure that you get the links if you want those. And I also want to make sure that I share with you all this little one-page note sheet for Infinite Campus, if that's something you can utilize. I have a bunch of one-page notes. So I'm going to find a link for that. If you like those one-page notes of being able to see without watching a video, because I know that time is precious, and I know that you all are probably spending so much time in front of screens that it's really hard to find time to watch videos. But if you enjoy these, I have them for a lot of things. And if my internet would function, open this up. Um, Feel free to go in here and grab what you need. Some of these are for students, some of them are for teachers, but I want to make sure that if they're helpful, you have that link. So I have one over Zoom and Google Meet. There's getting started with Gmail for students that may need that or whomever. So yeah, feel free to take what you need and use it. And if you all don't have any questions, I'm going to stick around. But that brings us to the end of the session. So if you don't have any questions, you're more than welcome to stay on if you want, or you can hop off. And if you ever need anything, here is my email address, and I'll put that in the chat too. That way you can have it. And I will do my best to help you from afar. If it's a Chromebook issue, sometimes I have some helpful typo. Sometimes I have some helpful information of that, but if I don't, then I can get it into the hand of our tech team and they will be able to fix it for you. I did think of one thing when I was talking about the tech team. If your Chromebook ever just powers off and you cannot get it to turn back on, if you hold down the refresh key and the power key at the same time for about 20 seconds, that's what we call a hard reset and it will reset your Chromebook for you. So, all right, I don't see any questions coming in. So I do want to say thank you for those of you who did join us. Oops, sorry. Turn up my volume on my phone to make sure I was still being heard. But I want to thank you so much for attending this session. And if you would like to have more sessions similar to this, let me know what topics you need, and I'll be happy to do a live over whatever that might be.